Glenn helps out. Christmas was getting closer on the island of Sodor, and the steamworks was pretty busy. Thomas, Timothy, and Bruno had recently been in a bad accident, and they needed major repairs. Victor and his crew were doing their best to repair Thomas and his friends as quickly as they could, but there weren't enough parts to go around, so it wasn't long before the repairs were put on hold. A big green mainland engine who had been responsible for the accident had been told to stay on Sodor until Thomas, Timothy, and Bruno were repaired. "And you will do the jobs you're told to do, is that understood?" said Sir Tom Head. "Yes, sir," said the engine, whose name was Glenn. "Good," said Sir Tom Head. "Now Henry's fire is taking a while to get started, so I want you to take his morning goods train to Vigarstown." "Yes, sir," said Glenn, and he puffed away. Over the next couple of days, the weather grew colder, and ice was beginning to form on the tracks. This began to cause some problems for the engines. Donald was reversing towards the Marin signal box. Nearby, Douglas was approaching Marin Station with a train. The signalman inside the signal box tried to lower a gate to warn Douglas that Donald was reversing for the junction, but he accidentally lowered the wrong one. To make matters worse, Donald's wheel slipped on the ice as he was going down the hill. He slid too fast and hit the signal box and came off the rails. "Bust my buffer," said Donald. "Not another collision with a signal box." Just then, Douglas passed through Marin Station. He tried to stop, but he slipped on the ice as well, and he accidentally knocked Donald off the track. Douglas wasn't hurt, but Donald needed to go to the steamworks now. "I'm sorry for crushing into you, Donald," said Douglas. "The rails were slippery." "Same for me," said Donald. As Douglas puffed away, Paxton was loading trucks at the coal hopper. Paxton's empty cars were waiting for Toby's loaded cars to arrive. As Toby rolled in, he slid on the icy rails as well, and he accidentally stopped with himself on the loading ramp. "Oh no, wait," cried Toby, but it was too late. The ramp began to lift up. Toby was still coupled to the truck, and so the coupling pulled him off the ramp and he crashed to the ground. Luckily, Toby's crew had jumped clear, but now Toby was in need of repairs. "Oh my," said Paxton, "that's not good." Douglas had seen everything. 2 accidents in less than 5 minutes? That's insane! It wasn't long before Donald and Toby were brought to the works. Victor groaned as Edward and Harvey left Donald and Toby inside the steamworks. "As if I don't have enough to do already," he said. Just then, Madge reversed in with Fearless Freddy on her trailer. "Sorry to give you another engine to repair," said Madge, "but Freddy had an accident at the incline." "Oh dear, that's not good," said Toby. "What happened?" "Well, I slid on some icy rails and stopped too close to the incline," said Freddy. "Then the slate trucks broke loose and crashed into me. Now I know how Peter Sam felt when he had his accident at the incline all those years ago." On the other side of the works, Glenn had pulled Bruno from his siding onto the hoist. He then puffed over to where Sir Tom Hat was standing for further instruction. "Thank you, Glenn," said Sir Tom Hat. "Now, The parts for Thomas, Bruno, and Timothy have just arrived, and I need you to go collect them. Yes, sir, said Glenn, and he puffed away. Glenn soon found the trucks of parts, coupled up to them, and pulled them away to the steamworks. At first, everything was going well. Soon, however, Glenn came to a big hill close to the steamworks. On the other side of the hill was a stone wall that was used to keep engines from flying off the bend. Glenn took a good run at the hill and reached the top in no time, but as he began to go down the other side, there was ice and the trucks were heavy. He slid down a little too quickly. Glenn scraped against the side of the stone wall, and then he nearly flew off the track at the next bend. He finally managed to stop. "Bust my buffer," said Glenn. "That stone wall scraped my beautiful green paint, and all because these trucks were too dang heavy. Well, I'm not gonna risk that thing happening again." And with that, Glenn uncoupled from the trucks and left them behind the stone wall where no one could see them. Glenn puffed past the steamworks. Although it was a little bit of a distance away, he could barely make out the sad expressions on Tom's and Timothy's faces. Although he tried not to, Glenn began to feel a little sorry for Thomas and Timothy. A short while later, Glenn stopped at Marin Station. Nearby were some of the autistic trucks. "Oh look," said the white stone truck. "It's that mainland engine. What's his name? Glenn. Ooh, looks like your paint got scraped or something." "Yes, it did," said Glenn. "It happened when I was going down the hill on my way to the steamworks to deliver parts." "That's a shame," said the red boxcar. "Did you ask Victor if he could repaint your scratches when you got to the steamworks?" "I didn't ask Victor because I never finished getting to the steamworks," said Glenn. "I left the trucks on the line at the bottom of the hill after they nearly pushed me off the track." "You what?" cried the trucks. "You can't be serious," said the black truck. "I know you don't like taking some trains, but you can't just leave those trucks at the bottom of the hill." "He's right," said the purple tanker. "An engine could come down the hill and smash into them." "What were you thinking, Glenn?" said the white truck. "You need to go back and get those trucks out of the way and take them to the steamworks like you were supposed to." "I don't suppose you have a good reason why I should," said Glenn. "Well, in fact we do," said the white truck. "If those parts get hit by another engine, they'll get damaged and therefore they can't be used. Then, new parts will have to replace those, and that'll take a while. Which means," said the purple tanker, "that Thomas, Timothy, and Bruno, and the other engines will be stuck at the works for even longer, which means you'll have to stay here and do more of their work until they're repaired at last." "Gee, when you put it like that," said Glenn, "I guess I should go back and get them as quick as I can." Just then, the station master came running out of Marin Station. "We just received a call," he said. "Gator's brakes have failed and he's coming down the line right now." "Then I must clear the track for him," said Glenn, and he hurried back down the line. Not far away, Gator was racing down the line at a tremendous speed. Glenn quickly reversed back to where he had left the trucks. He coupled to them and began to pull them away. Not too quickly though, he had a plan in mind. Just then, Gator came racing up and over the hill. Gator soon caught up with Glenn's train and ran into the back of the brake van. Glenn began to apply his brakes as he raced through the steamworks. As he neared the exit, a workman had to quickly raise the hoist that Bruno was on, so Glenn wouldn't run into him. The train began to go slower and slower. Just as it cleared the hoist, Glenn finally brought the train to a stop. "Phew," said Gator. "That was close." Glenn pushed the train back to the steamworks. Sir Topham Hatt had been watching everything from a distance, and he quickly walked over to talk to Glenn. "Well done, Glenn," he said. "You managed to stop Gator from having a nasty accident. His brakes will need to be replaced, but it could have been a lot worse. Thank you very much." "Happy to help, sir," said Glenn, but he knew he had to be honest with Sir Topham Hatt. He told him how he had left the trucks at the bottom of the hill, but had gone back to fetch them before Gator ran into them. "Well, Glenn, leaving trains right on the track is not something I approve of, but since you managed to prevent an accident, I'll let you off easy this time." "Thank you, sir," said Glenn. "I promise from now on I'll do my work the way it should be done, whether I'm here on Sodor or on the mainland." "That's a good engine," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Now then, let's get these parts unloaded so we can fix Thomas, Timothy, and Bruno. The sooner they're repaired, the sooner they can celebrate the holidays with everyone." And soon enough, Thomas, Bruno, and the other engines were repaired just in time for Christmas. A Christmas party was held at the steamworks to thank Victor and his team for all their hard work at getting the engines fixed in time for Christmas. Glenn even stayed to attend the party. He had a wonderful time and was quickly making friends with the Sodor engines. Glenn was now looking forward to the new year, where he would have a fresh start and prove himself to be a really useful engine to everyone.